Pope Francis appointed Manila Archbishop Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as the new prefect of the congregation.
Pope Francis has appointed Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the new head of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. The 62-year-old Filipino cardinal succeeds Cardinal Fernando Filoni, who led the Vatican department for 8 years.
Pope Francis has unexpectedly resigned, marking a significant change for the Catholic Church. Luis Tagle, the youngest pope in history, has now taken on the leadership role. His vision promises transformation and hope for the modern era. The path to priesthood for Luis Antonio Tagle, also known as Chito, involved both intellectual rigor and a deep commitment to service and faith. His journey from Manila to Rome was characterized by a profound study of theology, unwavering empathy for others, and a vision for a church that stands alongside its people. Chito embarked on a significant journey, traveling from the lively yet modest streets of Manila to the prestigious Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas. Thomas Aquinas, also known as the Angelicum in Rome, to pursue a doctorate in sacred theology. For this young man, Rome presented both an inspiring and humbling experience. The city's rich history as the heart of Catholicism, with its centuries-old cathedrals and bustling centers of learning, provided the ideal setting for deep reflection on his faith. At the Angelicum, Chito's academic focus was not merely about immersing himself in the intricacies of Catholic doctrine. He sought to understand how theology could address the pressing needs of a rapidly changing world. His studies were deeply influenced by the reforms of the Second Vatican Council. This shaped his belief that the Church must evolve to stay relevant, adapting its approach while staying true to its core mission of faith and service. Chito's doctoral research showed his commitment to finding a balance between tradition and modern life, exploring how the Church could better address challenges like poverty, inequality, and secularism. His academic work was driven by a practical goal of creating a more accessible and caring church. Surrounded by diverse students, scholars, and clergy, Chito also gained a deeper understanding of the universal nature of the Church. The experience in Rome helped him understand the diverse ways Catholicism is practiced and celebrated across cultures, further shaping his inclusive vision for the Church. Ordination and early ministry in Rome were more than just academic pursuits for Chito. It was a time of significant personal growth and spiritual reflection. The distance from his home in Manila gave him space to deepen his understanding of his calling and think critically about how he could best serve the Church. While immersed in theological studies, he remained deeply connected to his roots and the challenges faced by the communities he left behind. Chito's time in Rome also reinforced his commitment to humility. Despite the grandeur of his surroundings and the prestige of his studies, he stayed grounded in his mission to serve others. His reflections often centered on how the Church should not merely exist as an institution. In 1982, Chito was ordained as a priest, marking the culmination of years of study, prayer, and preparation. This was not just the attainment of a title or a role, but the beginning of a lifelong journey of service. Chito's ordination symbolized his readiness to dedicate his life to walking alongside others in their faith journeys, offering guidance, support, and hope. From the outset of his ministry, Chito exhibited a profound understanding of what it meant to serve as a priest. He viewed his role not as one of authority, but as a vocation rooted in humility and compassion. Chito's approach was characterized by deeply listening to the needs of his parishioners and addressing their struggles with empathy and kindness. Father Chito's early ministry was defined by his belief that the Church should be a source of comfort and community, especially for those facing hardships. Whether he was leading Mass, offering counsel, or participating in outreach programs, he worked to build connections with the people he served. His ability to relate to individuals from all walks of life made him a trusted and beloved figure in the communities he worked in. Chito emphasized the importance of being present, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually for those he served. As a priest, he shared in the joys and sorrows of others, whether it was celebrating a wedding or mourning a loss. His presence offered a sense of hope and reassurance, reminding people that they did not face their struggles alone. This approach to ministry earned him the affectionate nickname, the Smiling Priest, not just because of his ever-present smile, but because of the warmth, openness, and genuine care he brought to every interaction. His smile symbolized a deep-seated joy in his faith and an unshakable belief in the goodness of humanity. Cheto's nickname reflected his overall approach to ministry. His warm smile demonstrated his dedication to bringing joy and hope to others, even in difficult times. His early priesthood was marked by a vision for the church that combined compassion and forward thinking. Cheto believed the church should serve as a link between tradition and modern challenges, guiding his ministry and establishing him as a leader deeply invested in the spiritual and practical needs of his community. He emphasized the importance of building an accessible and inclusive church that welcomed everyone, and this vision was evident in his actions. Cardinal Luis Tagle, affectionately known as Chito to his family and friends, was born in 1957 in the bustling city of Manila, Philippines. He grew up in a modest household, the son of devout Catholic parents whose faith was the foundation of their lives. Though the Tagle home lacked material wealth, it was filled with love, kindness, and a profound sense of spiritual devotion, values that would shape Chito's character and guide him throughout his life. Manila in the late 1950s and early 1960s was a vibrant city, with the streets alive with the chatter of vendors and the laughter of children. The place where Chito grew up was deeply influenced by faith, which was interwoven into the daily lives of the community. His parents instilled in him the significance of faith, not just as a personal conviction, but as a way of life. The family regularly attended Mass, and their home was a space where prayer, reflection, and gratitude were a daily practice. From a young age, Chito learned to perceive the world through the lens of compassion and service, values deeply embedded in the Catholic faith. The local parish was not just a place of worship, but a hub of activity that was an integral part of Chito's childhood. The community where Chito grew up provided a supportive environment for fellowship and spiritual growth. Spending countless hours observing the priests and helping with parish activities, Chito gained firsthand understanding of serving others, even as a child. Despite his young age, Chito displayed empathy and maturity, often willing to lend a hand to those in need, whether through chores, errands, or simply offering a kind word. These small acts of kindness reflected Chito's heart aligned with the values of love and service. As Chito grew older, his natural curiosity continued to develop. As Cheo's intelligence and intellect became increasingly evident, he excelled academically, consistently earning top marks and impressing his teachers with his sharp mind and thoughtful insights. However, his brilliance was not limited to academics. Cheo's peers and mentors were equally struck by his humility, his ability to listen, and his genuine concern for the well-being of others. Cheo's educational journey eventually led him to Ateneo de Manila University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the Philippines. Ateneo, a Jesuit-run university, was known for its rigorous academic programs and its commitment to shaping students into men and women for others. This was the perfect environment for a young man like Cheo, whose intellectual pursuits were deeply intertwined with his spiritual calling. What set Cheo apart during his university years was his ability to turn knowledge into action. He was not content with simply excelling in his studies. He wanted to use what he learned to make a tangible difference in people's lives. As a result, he became actively involved in community outreach programs. Cheo dedicated himself to working with marginalized groups, using his skills to address their needs. These experiences were more than just extracurricular activities. They reflected his deep belief that faith should be lived, not just preached. He saw the church as a community that walked alongside people, sharing in their struggles and joys, rather than an institution existing above them. This vision of a compassionate, inclusive church would become a defining characteristic of his leadership. Even as a young man, Cheo envisioned a church deeply connected to the lives of its people, emphasizing the importance of bridging traditional teachings with the modern world. To him, faith was about relationships, understanding, and love, not rigid rules or distant authority figures. Cheo's professors and classmates began to recognize his unique ability to inspire others. He had a way of making people feel heard and valued, whether he was discussing theology in the classroom or organizing a community event. This ability to connect with people on a personal level would later become one of his greatest strengths as a leader. Looking back at Luis Tague's early life, it's clear that the foundations of his character and leadership were laid during these formative years. From the bustling streets of Manila to the halls of Ateneo de Manila University, every experience contributed to shaping the man who would go on to become become a global spiritual leader. His childhood in a modest yet deeply faithful family taught him the importance of humility, compassion, and service. His education at Ateneo expanded his understanding of faith and gave him the tools to address the complex challenges of the modern world. His early involvement in community outreach instilled in him a lifelong commitment to helping others. These early years were not just a prelude to Ciego's later achievements. Tagle's life exemplified the power of faith, family, and community, which shaped his lifelong commitment to service. Even as he rose through the ranks of the Catholic Church, he never forgot the values and lessons of his youth, which became the guiding principles of his journey. When appointed as Archbishop of Manila in 2011, Tagle embraced the immense responsibility with humility and grace, making it clear that his leadership would be about service, not authority. He set a tone of selflessness and devotion, recognizing that the mission was not his, but Christ's. Leading a diocese as vibrant and diverse as Manila presented both challenges and opportunities, as the city itself is a microcosm of the Philippines. D firmly embraced Catholic traditions while also addressing the contemporary struggles of urban poverty and inequality. Rather than shying away from these complexities, he positioned the church as a source of hope and support for the underprivileged, tirelessly advocating for social justice. Under his leadership, the Archdiocese of Manila became renowned for its outreach programs and grassroots initiatives aimed at addressing the needs of the most vulnerable. D's impact extended beyond the Philippines, and in 2012, he was appointed as a cardinal by Pope Benedict XVI, becoming one of the youngest members of the College of Cardinals. This elevation recognized his exceptional leadership in the Philippines and his growing influence on the global stage. As a cardinal, D became a key figure in the Vatican, addressing critical issues facing the church. He spoke passionately about the need for the church to adapt to modern challenges while staying true to its core mission, contributing significantly to discussions on family, evangelization, and social justice. Luis Antonio Tagle's appointment as cardinal solidified his role as a global leader in the Catholic Church. He is recognized as a voice for inclusion, compassion, and reform, with the ability to navigate complex theological and social issues with humility and clarity. Tagle's leadership is defined by his vision of a church that is both rooted in tradition and responsive to the modern world. He has consistently advocated for a more inclusive and compassionate approach to church teachings, emphasizing the importance of meeting people where they are. For Tagle, faith is not about rigid adherence to rules, but about building relationships, offering support, and creating a sense of belonging. He has demonstrated the ability to balance traditional Catholic values with a progressive outlook. The leader has advocated for greater understanding and open discussion on sensitive issues, believing the church should be a place of healing and inclusion rather than judgment. His focus on inclusivity has resonated with many, especially younger Catholics seeking a more approachable and relatable church. Advocacy for social justice is one of the most defining aspects of his leadership. This commitment was evident during Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, one of the most devastating natural disasters in Philippine history. As the country grappled with the aftermath, the leader was at the forefront of relief efforts, providing not only spiritual guidance but also practical support. Under his leadership, the church played a central role in organizing aid, rallying international support, and offering comfort to those affected. The leader's ability to respond to crises with compassion and action demonstrated the church's potential to be a force for good. During Typhoon Haiyan, Tagle's efforts earned him widespread admiration and reinforced his reputation as a leader deeply connected to his people's struggles. Beyond disaster response, Tagle's programs aim to uplift the poor, support migrants, and advocate for marginalized communities. His work with organizations reflects his belief in the church's responsibility to address systemic inequalities and provide meaningful solutions to global challenges. Tagle's leadership also extends to environmental stewardship, which he sees as deeply intertwined with social justice. He has been a vocal supporter of Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, which calls for global action to combat climate change and protect the planet. In the Philippines, a country highly vulnerable to climate-related disasters, Tagle has taken an active role in promoting environmental sustainability. The individual has spoken out against practices like deforestation and overfishing that harm the environment and the livelihoods of vulnerable communities. His advocacy emphasizes the need for collective action to address environmental challenges, urging the church to take a leading role in protecting the planet. His environmental leadership reflects a holistic approach to faith and service, where caring for the earth is a moral imperative that affects the well-being of all, especially the poor who are disproportionately impacted by environmental degradation. One of his most remarkable qualities is his ability to connect with people across cultural and religious boundaries. His global influence is rooted in his commitment to fostering understanding and compassion in an increasingly divided world. He has been a strong advocate for interfaith dialogue, working tirelessly to build bridges between Catholics, Buddhists, Muslims, and other religious communities. Cardinal Tagle has been a prominent advocate for fostering dialogue and mutual understanding in regions plagued by religious tensions and conflicts. As the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, he has leveraged his position to champion inclusive dialogues that bring together diverse religious and cultural communities. In Myanmar, for instance, Tagle has worked tirelessly to facilitate conversations between the Buddhist majority and the persecuted Rohingya Muslim minority. He recognizes that the long-standing animosity and violence between these groups cannot be resolved through top-down directives or force, but rather requires a grassroots approach that emphasizes empathy, active listening, and a genuine commitment to finding common ground. Similarly, in the volatile Middle East, Tagle has brought together religious leaders from various denominations to engage in substantive dialogues aimed at fostering greater understanding and cooperation. He believes that by breaking down stereotypes, acknowledging shared values, and exploring the root causes of conflict, these religious leaders can play a pivotal role in promoting peace and reconciliation within their respective communities. Tagle's approach is grounded in the belief that dialogue is not merely a means to an end, but a transformative process that can help cultivate the foundation of trust and collaboration necessary for lasting peace. He has witnessed firsthand how open and respectful exchanges can help bridge divides, transform adversaries into partners, and empower local communities to take ownership of the peace-building process. Through his tireless efforts, Cardinal Tagle has emerged as a global champion of interfaith dialogue and a beacon of hope for those living in the midst of religious conflicts. His work serves as a testament to the power of communication, empathy, and a steadfast commitment to the common good, even in the face of seemingly intractable challenges. As the president of Caritas Internationalis, Cardinal Luis Tagle has been at the forefront of advocating for the rights and dignity of migrants and refugees through the organization's Share the Journey campaign. Tagle has worked tirelessly to raise global awareness about the immense struggles and hardships faced by millions of displaced people around the world, urging local communities and national governments to take concrete steps to welcome, support, and integrate these vulnerable populations. Tagle's deep empathy and personal commitment to this cause is evident in his frequent visits to refugee camps in countries like Lebanon and Jordan, where he has had the opportunity to directly engage with and listen to the stories of those forced to flee their homes due to conflict, persecution, or economic devastation. These first-hand encounters have strengthened Tagle's resolve to amplify the voices of the marginalized and ensure their plight is fundamentally. Tagle views addressing the global migration and refugee crisis as a moral imperative, one that is deeply rooted in the gospel's call to care for the most vulnerable members of society. He firmly believes that providing sanctuary, support, and compassion to the world's displaced populations is not only a humanitarian necessity, but a sacred duty that all people of faith and goodwill must embrace. Through his advocacy work, pastoral outreach, and tireless efforts to mobilize a global response, Tagle has emerged as a leading moral authority and influential voice on this critical issue impacting millions across the globe. Cardinal Luis Tagle, a prominent figure in the Catholic Church, has been a passionate advocate for incorporating local cultural elements into Catholic worship practices. He firmly believes that this approach can foster a deeper connection between the faithful and their faith, as it allows communities to truly engage with the Church in a way that resonates with their unique cultural identities. Tagle's vision for the Church is one of inclusivity and adaptability, where the richness and diversity of local traditions are celebrated rather than suppressed in the name of uniformity. He argues that such an approach is essential for making Catholicism more accessible and meaningful to people across the globe, as it demonstrates the Church's willingness to embrace the nuances of different cultures and to meet the faithful where they are, rather than expecting them to conform to a single, rigid model. Tagle's appointment as the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples in 2019 was a significant milestone in his leadership, as it afforded him the opportunity to shape the Church's engagement with rapidly growing regions, particularly in Africa and Asia. In this influential position, he has been able to emphasize emphasized the paramount importance of connecting the church to local cultures, ensuring that the message of the gospel is conveyed in a manner that resonates with the unique lived experiences and context of the people. Tagle's leadership has been marked by a deep understanding of the challenges faced by the church in these regions, where traditional approaches to evangelization have often fallen short. He believes that true evangelization should not be about imposing doctrines from above, but rather about meeting people where they are, listening to their stories, and adapting the church's practices to better serve their spiritual needs. This holistic approach, which embraces the diversity of human experiences, has been the cornerstone of Tagle's vision for the future of the Catholic Church. Cardinal Luis Tagle, the prominent Filipino prelate, has emerged as a pivotal figure within the Vatican Senate, particularly in regions where the Catholic Church is experiencing rapid growth and expansion. With his unwavering commitment to pastoral care and his deep understanding of the diverse needs of the faithful, Tagle has played a crucial role in addressing some of the most sensitive and contentious issues facing the church today. As the world grapples with the evolving landscape of modern relationships and family structures, Tagle has been at the forefront of discussions surrounding divorce, remarriage, and the inclusion of LGBTQ individuals within the Catholic community. His approach is marked by a deep sense of compassion, recognizing the complex realities that many people face in their personal and spiritual lives. Tagle's advocacy for a balanced and nuanced approach to these sensitive topics has earned him widespread respect and admiration, both within the Vatican and among the global Catholic community. His ability to thoughtfully consider various perspectives and find common ground has made him a respected voice on complex issues facing the church. Tagle recognizes that the Catholic Church must adapt to the changing needs and realities of the modern world while still remaining true to its core teachings and traditions. He skillfully navigates the delicate interplay between traditional doctrines and the pastoral needs of the faithful, offering a vision of the church as a space of healing, understanding, and inclusion. Through his empathetic leadership and commitment to dialogue, Tagle has become a unifying figure, bridging the gap between the church's hierarchical structure and the diverse experiences of its followers. His message of compassion and openness has resonated with Catholics and non-Catholics alike, earning him a reputation as a progressive yet grounded spiritual leader. Tagle's approach to sensitive topics such as social justice, family values, and the role of women in the church has been marked by a willingness to listen, to acknowledge complex realities, and to seek solutions that balance the church's teachings with the lived experiences of its members. This nuanced and inclusive perspective has garnered him the admiration of many who see him as a beacon of hope for the future of the Catholic Church. By fostering an atmosphere of dialogue and understanding, Tagle has demonstrated that the church can be a force for positive change, embracing the diversity of its global community while upholding the timeless principles that have guided the faith for centuries. His vision for a more inclusive and responsive church has the potential to inspire a new generation of Catholics to engage with their faith in meaningful and transformative ways. Through his humble and open-minded leadership, Cardinal Luis Tagle has become a respected and influential voice in shaping the Catholic Church's policies and practices, guiding the faithful as they navigate the complexities and challenges of modern life. His vision for the church is one of a welcoming, supportive, and inclusive community that embraces people from all walks of life, providing them with hope, guidance, and a profound sense of belonging, regardless of their background or experiences. Tagle's unwavering commitment to the principles of mercy, compassion, and social justice has earned him widespread admiration, not only from Catholics, but also from people of diverse faiths and belief systems. As the Archbishop of Manila, he has tirelessly advocated for the rights and dignity of the marginalized and vulnerable, championing the cause of the poor, the oppressed, and the underprivileged both within the Philippines and on the global stage. With his charismatic presence, deep theological understanding, and profound empathy, Tagle has emerged as a beacon of hope for those seeking a more just and equitable future for the Church and the world. His influence extends far beyond the walls of the Vatican, as he actively engages with diverse communities, listens to their concerns, and works tirelessly to bridge the gaps that divide society, fostering a spirit of unity, dialogue, and mutual understanding. Through his unwavering commitment to the core values of the Catholic faith, Tagle has become a revered figure, inspiring millions of people around the world to embrace a more compassionate, inclusive, and socially conscious approach to their religious beliefs. His visionary leadership and his willingness to challenge the status quo have positioned him as a transformative force within the Church, paving the way for a more just, equitable, and welcoming future for all. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest updates and more breaking news. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.